Right. Well, welcome to the show. I normally start these with what's your why for competing in HYROX? Like what's the motivator behind it for you?
Yeah, so my why for HYROX would be, I suppose just channeling my energy into a healthy focus. I have a bit of a past of, maybe not leading the best life, I'll probably touch on that a little bit later, but it's my medicine. Fitness saved me from a dark place. It rescued me from like overthinking, anxiety, depression. I've had I feel we're products of our environments, and growing up, I had a lot of bereavement. I suppressed a lot of emotion within myself, and that kind of led me down to I didn't really have like an academic, a great academic background. I was more of like a streetwise person. I grew up with two older brothers, so you can imagine, especially growing up in Dublin City, what the banter was like. But we grew up with your personality as your currency. Um, but it led me down to like, the industry and TV and kind of that a cocktail for disaster with things. So, really playing a lot of football growing up, I was very handy at that. But again, it's sticking with it through the tough years when the lads are going out on the weekends. It's that fear of missing out. And I suppose I didn't just quite have the minerals to make it in that sense. My dad always said to me, sacrifice them nights out and you'll always have them down the line. But unfortunately I didn't. So, I had the fitness in me. I grew up playing a lot of soccer, like I said. Fitness was a big part of my life. My dad was, a great advocate for, diet, rest, training. Um, so I always had that in me. I always had the knowledge, but like I said, I got kind of distracted with, later teens into my, 20s. I got caught up in the TV and the media side of things and very toxic it's a very toxic industry to be in. And that's why, I led back and instead of looking for these external validation, it was always with me. You're an able bodied person, the beauty to go out for a run or to train, surround yourself with great people. That's why I went back to, the gym, and finding HYROX in itself gave me something to focus on. So I suppose it's just my medicine, Greg. It's
Mhm.
my why is because it keeps me alive. And just HYROX is that beautiful thing that I suppose from someone that has an addictive personality to get your teeth into something that you can track, you can monitor, that you can look at yourself and, improve your flaws even in the sport. It's not just like a 6 week body transformation where we get bored, go out for a meal after the 6 week transformation and get pissed again. It's a vicious circle that so it again like the football, we know what we're kind of it's like if you play a team and you're playing them again later in the season, you kind of know to watch for that winger. Do you know what I mean? It's like we get to study our own performances and we get to um inevitably improve and just keep, identifying with ourselves and keep pushing ourselves to that level. So I'd say, it's just my medicine to stay fit now. And, it's great that I found a sport that I like now. And that's kind of the buzz with that.
Okay, nice. What sort of level were you at playing football in your
I'm not gonna give it the L now sitting in the pub. I could have made it, babe, but the cruciate ligament. Um Greg, I was a handy I was a centre midfielder, box to box, and I was a dirt bird in terms of like I love the tackle and my dad was, he was big into fitness. He was big into the game was very back then, it was all about the silky players. My dad built me on an engine as a centre midfielder, box to box, break the play up, give the simple pass, go again, look for it. Do you know what I mean? My game was based on fitness. I was a great header of the ball, but I suppose I just didn't, like I said, I didn't have the minerals. But yeah, no, I was playing in Ireland. I played for Shelburne, Bohemians. I was away in Walsall, Tranmere. I done my stint, but again, the credit goes to these people that do sacrifice their teen years and they go and make it. So just unfortunately it wasn't, but I kind of still held something even after all the madness of my twenties and stuff like that. It was always within me to get my. I noticed my running came back fairly quick. It's always in you. It's like muscle memory,
Yeah.
but definitely there was elements that stuck with me that I carry into sport today. So it's great to be able to still kind of use that. But again, with diet, with rest, with training, kind of you're able to take that from what you learned as a kid growing up and still put it into practice, even in a sport like HYROX. So it always stays with you.
Yeah. You're the type of player I'd imagine that the other teams would be like, oh, we're playing against Jeremy
Yeah,
today.
yeah. Well, listen, we'll probably touch on it. I love it. And listen, part of sport is having a laugh. And now, look, I'm a good person with a good heart. You know what I mean? I love the banter of it, though. Like, mental warfare is what I'm glad to see it coming into HYROX a bit, And like, obviously, if it's fair and that, but again, like all this nonsense when the relay was taking place and all people thinking I was a crybaby, I loved it. I think there should be, obviously without the violence or whatever hurting people. Or I think there should be more, and I think HYROX are doing a great job in integrating the press conferences. Letting people use their personality a little bit more. I think that's where the sport's going to grow, is if they keep continuing it. But you do need, you need, you look at all the great films like in Rocky, and that there has to be a villain and there has to be a good guy, right? So I think it's like the UFC, even the press conference. That's what entertains people. But
Mhm.
I'm glad to see HYROX kind of doing a bit of that. But yeah, it was a nightmare to play against. So and I'm a nightmare to run against. So I make sure that I'm keeping it. But it's in the Irish, right? It's in our DNA to have a laugh. But we don't. I'm a fair player. Do you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't ever, trip someone up on the course or anything. But like verbally, if you can't handle it, and if in the tunnel, you need to be giving it a bit of that when the countdown's on.
Yeah.
I always say, like, do you know what I mean? I was saying to the boys, you look a bit tired. I remember, I think it was when Jake Kelly and Jake Dearden were racing against Dylan and I in Houston, but they obviously had the Elite 15 race. But I made sure to be saying, how's the jet lag? You know what I mean? You didn't have much of a turnaround there, boys, but it's all like two lovely guys, right? So it's well received, and then it's obviously you do your talking on the track, so that's where it counts.
Yeah, I think I do think like sometimes you can tell if someone in HYROX, if they've come from a team sports background, if they've been in like that football or rugby environment, there's a little bit more like
Absolutely.
they're not intimidated by the busy tracks and
No,
all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
no, again, yeah, it's brilliant though. It's fantastic, and that's what I'm saying. A lot of the lads accept it, and it's funny because if you can't accept it, you normally keep reeling them in and they keep biting and you keep it's like, oh, don't show me your teeth because I'm gonna keep going. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's brilliant. Like in that, I had a great time in that Elite 15 dressing room because you got to see kind of, I was dog shy on the day, like, so it didn't matter what I was saying to them. Do you know what I mean? I could have tied their shoes up and hit their shoes. They probably still would have beat me on that day. But nah, it's a great bunch of lads, and yeah, it's a great sport.
Let's talk about your like the past life in like the media side of things. So tell us like what you did, like what sort of programs you were on, like how that came about.
Yeah, so I suppose, like I said, I wasn't going to go to law school or anything like that. You know what I mean? When I'm normally in the suit going to a wedding or something, someone asks me what time I'm in court at. So no, it was I was doing a bit of modeling at the time, some bits and pieces here, and I got approached by MTV in 2000, and I'd like to say like 2012. And there was a show on there. It was kind of like similar to like Geordie Shore. It was like you go out during the day and you party at night and stuff like that. That kind of gave me my first stint. That series didn't do too great, but I got an agent out of it. And they were a really good management team. And then Celebrity Big Brother came knocking in 2016, so a few years later. And I suppose that's where everything kind of blew up for me in terms of, into the media and stuff. And like I said, yeah, it was a lot of money. It was a lot of pressure on me. You know, I stopped playing football just a few years before that. I was still obviously making good bread in what I was doing in TV. But Big Brother was kind of when I came out of there. I think I was booked for 2 years, and just they're called PAs, so it's like personal appearances. So you go to nightclubs, and I don't know why people are queuing up to get pictures. I still don't know to this day, Greg. But look, what makes money makes sense, as they say, right? So I was booked out for 2 years on them at like 5 nights a week. So listen, my management did care a lot about me. They were like, we don't know if you can handle this. But when, I was 20, 26, and you just think about trying to get the money in at that stage. And you know, it wasn't, people probably look, stop moaning, it was, you have to go to a club, but you know, mentally that can be very daunting on someone, you know, and my ego was out of control, Greg. I didn't like who I was or becoming. And when you mix where there's drink, there's trouble, right? So you're trying to balance, you're trying to get up the next day and keep continuing this. I was in a relationship that was a bit, you know, a bit wild, obviously, because, you know, look, I'm no angel and I don't claim to be, but, you know, I learned on the spot, let's say, and I learned in the media and I made a lot of mistakes, you know, but it's stuff that I can't control. It's stuff I wish that, you know, I reacted better. I wish I struck when the iron was hot with some certain business entities that you look at other people now, you're like, yeah, I passed that up. But, you know, we live and learn, and what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So I think I certainly had to, you know, I wish I listened to my elders, but I didn't, unfortunately. So I learned the hard way, as they say. But you know, it's life, and I'm glad to be here, fit and healthy. And it's taught me a lot of lessons.
Okay. Was there was there a lot of drink and drugs through that period, I
Yeah,
guess?
yeah, absolutely, yeah, 100%. You know, um, again, I feel like with no excuse. I'm an Irish lad, and there was girls, there was drink, there was fucking everything there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And substances. You know, you're gonna be, when you're around that in that industry. There's no hiding for it. It's rampant. And I'm always honest and I'm always transparent with people because I'm not here to be a squeaky clean athlete. Do you know what I mean? It's never going to be the case. I'm here to help people. If I can help one person that's struggling with, you know, with that side of life, you know, my inbox is always open, and that's the beauty for me. It's, I'm here to be, you know, just the people's person, to show that life can be shy and life isn't great for everybody. Do you know what I mean? Like, I still live with constant anxiety and depression from that stint in my life. I'm still, you know, even though it's years ago, I'm still, when, like, I suppose when I lost my mum when I was 13, and my brother, and then my half sister within that same year when I was 13. Bereavement stuck with me, and I didn't know how to, at that age, I suppose, deal with it. But I did I use my humor a lot. Pretty, like, I use my wit if I can get out of something. When everyone was like, "You okay? You okay?" I'd be like, "Yeah," like brushing it off like it wasn't a big deal. But later, I suppose, when I was drinking and you know, using substances at that time in my life, it came to fruition, and it was very hard for me to deal with. Now, my dad, when my mum passed away, they were broken up, so I lived with my dad after that. But he got me like a bereavement counselor, and he done everything he could. But when you have a relationship with your mum for all those years up to 13, it's very hard then to try and show emotion towards your dad. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like I was trying to, obviously, I was playing the football. I was trying to be, I suppose, like a man in a kid's body, right? So yeah, it was difficult, but you know, he was a great man and he'd done everything. It was just, it was catch 22. I couldn't, you're trying to be brave, but you know, I needed to deal with it at the time. But yeah, all that stuff, and I make no excuses for my behavior or anything like that. But it's, you know, it definitely interlinks with having a dependency and, you know, that escapism and suppressing your emotion and suppressing your feelings. Um, but that is replaced now, you know, with natural serotonin, with natural endorphins, and that's, you know, it's only bad habits. You know, I had to totally get rid of my circle, my friends that I love back at home, and they know, my true friends knew that I needed to escape that side of life. So like, they still check in with me, do you know what I mean? But you know, my lads are they were the type of lads to, you know, to go fishing with no fishing rods and a bag of cans in the boat. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was, in Ireland, it's a different story. So I don't even go to any functions. It's like, lads, I'll see you on FaceTime. But sometimes, you know, to lead the orchestra, right, you've got to turn your back on the crowd sometimes. And for me, I owed my mum for the efforts that they put into to me as a young man. You know, I owed it to them. I owed it to my little girl, and everyone else was to change. And you know, for me, it's not a big deal. It's a blessing that I can go out and have a run. It's a blessing that I have my limbs to be able to do what I do. It was just a matter of looking in the mirror, facing myself. It was nobody else. I don't blame anybody, you know. But I wasn't gonna take it lying down, because that's not a true reflection of who I am as a person. So, you know, I'm trying every day, and Greg, don't get me wrong, I'm still a bleeding mess. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can still be a disaster. I'm not claiming to be perfect. I never will be perfect, but it's night and day, you know. That's why I say HYROX to me when to push myself to the level up. I'm not near the top where I want to go, but mate, it's about being alive for me. So all these other things like going to the worlds and white flags, they don't matter. They don't matter a shit to me, because this fitness saved my life, and that's what I'm saying. That's for me is like to go out, and that's probably why I race with a smile on my face, because it beats waking up with a bad hangover and regret. So I'm
Yeah,
blessed.
good, good. Are you working now? Like, do you work? Do you
Yeah,
coach?
so again, when I was youth, the media had crippled me for years and they could get away with murder. But I used the media to my advantage then when I left. I went as a director of Hair of Istanbul, which is the world's leading hair transplant company now. 20% off, Greg, if you ever want.
I need it, mate. I need it.
You look good, mate. You just get the My Protein hats on. You're all
Exactly.
right. No, but Greg, I used whether the media is good, bad, or indifferent for me at that time. I made sure I used it to my advantage. Like I say, I might not be academically, but I was savvy in how to engage my following in terms of getting them over, and I turned that company along with Fatty, the CEO, into a really big company. But at the moment, believe it or not, I've left the company and I want to focus on getting into my coaching. I'm currently aiming towards my level 4 now in nutrition. It's the last kind of step. You get it like at 2, 3, and 4 levels. You know what I mean? So I can coach now and do stuff like that. So I want to do something I'm passionate about and something that I enjoy doing and help other people down the line. But obviously I want to have the credentials to do that.
Mhm,
I don't
mhm.
want to give out like 6-week programs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But um, I want to make sure that I have the top qualifications before I then build something around myself to help others.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about like the sporting side of things before we get into HYROX. I just want to touch on a couple of things that I've seen you do recently. So, marathon the Sables, is that how you say it? The
The
Sable,
Sab, yeah,
the
mate.
Sable.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm a bit. I've said it wrong loads of times. I think I said the Sables, and the French were looking at me. I was like, oh, whatever. Marathon the Sab, I say. So
Okay, okay, yeah. Tell us that. So that's like it's basically like ultra marathon, essentially through the desert. Is it? Tell us a bit about that experience.
yeah, mate. You know what? Like this is, like I said, I'm a bit spontaneous with stuff I do. Like I booked like year and a half ago, I booked Kilimanjaro like a week before and just went and climbed it. Like I do things just in the heat. Sometimes I just want to go away and focus on a different element of training. Like I love high rocks and that, but sometimes you just want to do something different, right? You want to break the stimulus. Um, and yeah, I booked Smart and the Saturday, not knowing much about it. Um, I knew it was an ultra marathon, but I knew like it was just before the Worlds in terms of I think it was like March, April, March. I think Martin de Sable. So I actually went over there just to like, and this sounds stupid, like to use it as like a bit of base training for the Worlds. Now we'll talk a bit later of what the ultra done to me. But yeah, I knew it was an ultra in the Sahara Desert. It was 250K over 6 days, I think. Um, and yeah, I heard it was tough, and I wanted to try it, so I booked it, and yeah, I went over there, and yeah, it was very difficult.
I mean, you're 90 kilograms plus, right? It's like,
Yeah, I'm 96 kg, yeah, six
yeah,
foot
yeah,
four. So like, you're going over there self-sufficient. So you had like your backpack, and I think that was like I don't know. I think it was like 12 or 13 kg. Like, I love an outfit change, Greg. So like I had one outfit on me because you want to bring as less as you can, right? So it's
yeah.
kind of you need to make sure that you're fueling right, but you don't want your bag to be too heavy in order so you can like kind of do all right on the runs. Do you get me? Um and yeah, you're sleeping in sandstorms, you're sleeping in a tent with like 6 or 7 other lads who were lovely by the way. But yeah, you're up every morning and you're just sending it. Like obviously, I I'm mad for going out hot in races. Do you know what I mean? I said to myself like, "You- I don't know what way I'm going to play this because I never ran something like that. But yeah, predominantly you just want to be sitting like in the zone too, trying to like maybe walk the hill, walk the dunes if you can, and then on flats. I used to take souls on the flats. I remember on the last day, which was the half marathon day, I came third out of the whole thing. I was like going past the Moroccans, like, do you know what I mean, blowing them kisses. Oh, like they didn't know what to be doing. But yeah, uphill it's a different story, right? Up the sand
Yeah.
dunes, but you just want to stay in a low heart rate and obviously just use whatever aerobic fitness you have. But it was a mental test, you know. There was a day that was 82 or 83K. And I mean, I got to 65K, Greg, and I was like, I couldn't even walk. I had to find something like from somewhere. I genuinely like everybody like you just walk and finish. I couldn't walk, and I was just in the middle of it was like you just hit this like death zone of like heat, and it was just like it was crazy. They set us off a little bit later than the others, so the top 50 go off a few hours later, so they can kind of handle the heat a little bit better than the other pack. But that was a challenge in itself. But no, it was great to finish it, and it was it's something to knock off the bucket list. But it's kind of like what's next, do you know what I mean? But yeah, I feel like when I got injured before the Worlds, I developed a stress fracture, I think, doing that event. So you need to be I see them all doing the 247 stuff now, like, and I saw Sean Noble roll his ankle again. So you have to be, you need to. It was a stupid thing for me to do before the Worlds because, like, I didn't know about the relay getting selected at that time, but I had the race with Dylan, and we wanted to perform better than we did, obviously. So it was probably stupid because it takes months for something like that to come out of you. Your CNS is all over the place. You need time to recover from something like that physically and mentally. But no, look, it's something great, and I'm glad I've done it, and I met fantastic people. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a matter of what's next. So I want to do Everest, but Everest is it's pricey. Do you know what I mean? You can die going. They say surviving the landing going into the place is difficult enough. Do you know what I mean? It's one of the most dangerous airports. Do you know what I mean? So if you can get landed first, it's good. But yeah, I don't know what I want to do next. Something mad.
You've got am I right in thinking you're doing the backyard ultra with my
Yeah,
protein soon?
yeah. I'm doing that. Yeah, again. Do you know what I mean? I have a few races lined up for November and December. I'm trying not to race as much this year, just so I can maybe A, B, and C it, be a bit more diligent in my approach because, I think there's a difference to race for the fun of it, which I don't think you should ever lose, but to be serious about your build in order, to build properly for it to taper properly and then get straight back into like
Mhm.
a polarized plan where you can then just kind of like maintain, kind of hit every aspect of it in if it's an event in 6 weeks. But I want to focus on the build. I want to make sure that I'm racing at my best. So yeah, I'll do the backyard ultra, depending on what I'm like coming up to it. But like that will sit with me as well for a while. Are you doing it yourself?
No, no,
I
no,
don't
no, I'm
fancy
not.
it.
No, no, no. You said I'm not. Maybe I just that type of distance just don't appeal to
It's
me
not.
at all.
And the thing is, you find that out though. Like it's you don't need to be the quickest. You need to be sick to win that.
Yeah.
I know some fellas that have walked that and like got to like 100K. Some cyclists, fellas, like you get cyclists going to that and just having that massive aerobic capacity, and they really don't need to run that fast. I think if you can get in at like, you could run a 6 minute K easy or 6:30 even to get in and like you don't want to be standing around for too long. So I'd say like 10, 12 minutes before your next run, just get it. If you want to jump an ice bath, make sure you're fuel. But you're gonna have some mad things that just won't. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like them Red On boys are serious. They'll have some fruitcakes that just won't give up. Do you know what I mean? And then you have to ask yourself, do I want to go there, put my body through that, and come like 10th?
Mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So yeah,
And
I always try and enter something that I want to win. Do you know what I mean? It's just in me, but we'll see what happens anyway. I paid for the ticket and that, so
okay. You're right. You're right. I do think those things stay with you longer than even you probably think. Like you might feel recovered, but then I've spoken to a lot of people that like then got an injury not too long after, even though they felt okay. Like I think the impact on the
yeah.
body like
Uh,
lasts. Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
like yeah, I went from Martin to Sab, and then like I took 2 weeks deload, but it wasn't even. I don't hate to make excuses. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the world just wasn't, it just didn't go how I planned. But Dylan and I spoke about that, you know what I mean? And we were like, we understood before that race, but I wasn't gonna pack it in. My little girl was flying over and stuff like that, you know what I mean? It was about taking what I achieved in, like I qualified, I just wanted to get through. But then you're always like, I suppose that overthinker in me is like, oh, people would think I'm, shy, or like it would be on the high result or whatever. You always go through that kind of element of doubt as well. But look, it is what it is, and I suppose you get the fire in your belly to show people again this season. But yeah, it's just one of them overthinking things again. But
You like from, and maybe not, because the events are very different. But do you take anything from those kinds of experiences that you then can apply that then benefit you in HYROX, maybe in your training or the mental side of the race? Like, is it like I've done things that are so tough that this is easy, or anything like that?
yeah, man, absolutely. I think just in general life, there's. I don't think I'm an aerobically special athlete, Greg. I think that I have a different mindset. Like Jesus Christ, like if I walk up the stairs, I'm nearly in green. Do you know what I mean? I'm touching the threshold, getting into the bath. You know what I mean? Like I think you have these guys. Remember, like whenever I played football, like I then partied for years. Do you know what I mean? And I would have damaged my base massively. So I went before I came back into the gym. Um, it was like 2000 and what are we 2000? I think 2021, 2022. I was 120 kg. Like I was a barrel. Do you know what I mean? So like to gain that fitness again and to kind of develop, your aerobic capacity and kind of get through. Like I still feel I have quite a lot to build in myself. Do you know what I mean? To get to the level I need to get there, because predominantly I'm a fast twitch athlete from the football, and it's a lot of slow work. It's not months, it's years to build. And then you've got the age thing on your side as well. Do you know what I mean? I'm not getting any younger, so I just do it for the enjoyment of it. But I make sure I'm training properly now, and I'm building, because it's an aerobic race, it's an endurance race, right? We need as much mitochondria as we can get, like, do you know what I mean? And that takes a lot of to change that kind of, you know, um, fast twitch to slow twitch. It's a lot of sitting on a bike for hours. It's a lot of it's not the sexy stuff we see on Instagram, right? So, but it's normally the stuff that works. Because I think, like, if anyone was to run a 200 meter, 400 meter, we could all probably hit a 320 or 330 k. But what stops us delivering that time after time is, it's my aerobic capacity. So I need to keep working on that. And I was in a great position, probably last year, when my running and everything else was just a little bit sharper. So I'm just going back to basics. And there's not mad science to HYROX. Like, it's very simple if you dissect it. The fitter you are, the better you're going to be. There's all these trends of fucking, this, that, and the other, but it's making sure you're doing the right stuff, and not like, understanding that your body needs rest as well to make them adaptations. I think, it's hard for me, someone like me, to sit still even sometimes, and on a rest day, I'm, you know what I mean? I'm like, I need to get on the bike for 60 minutes, but even still, you're raising the heart rate again, and you're not allowing your body to recover to make the changes they need to be made. I'm a big, like this season especially, I'm taking rest super seriously, because I feel it's just as important as the hard days.
Mhm. How much are you doing training wise? Like, what is your volume?
My volume last year was mental. Yeah, like I train to be free, so I love running. Like, I love running. It's just, that stupid saying is like, we're never the same person after a run than we are before it, right? It's a mood lifter. So I run for my mind, and just to be happy. So I always worked off a big, like, running volume. But again, I plateau, because I think everybody gets this in their head. They're like, I need to get 100k a week or 80k a week. It needs to be done correctly. There needs to be like a progressive overload to achieve the proper adaptations, and like you can't just keep doing like 100k and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So these are little things that I have to work on and pull back. And do you know what I mean? I have to progress, and then I need to, when I've reached the base level, I need to then increase the intensity, and then keep flirting with those two, and obviously then the threshold. And so there's obviously all these zones that I need to work on. But yeah, like last year I was just like running, but obviously I was gaining stuff, but it probably just wasn't the proper way of doing it. You know what I mean? There was no There was no proper periodization in my plan. It was just enjoying running, but ultimately I was fitter, so I was able to deliver. As a naturally big guy, my ski would be better, my row would be better. But yeah, I'm going to train properly this year and select my races properly and hopefully deliver some good performances. Break into the Elite 15 doubles again. That relay can go in the bin. I never want to be selected for that. But that relay, mate, I've done some. The relay hurts. Do you know? I never want to do another relay again, mate. So I'll be focusing on the Elite 15 doubles because I feel that's where I can be really useful. And I've got some good partners this year. It's difficult, isn't it? Because you've got to like I said earlier, you've got to race for effect and not just for fun now. So I've got to be a bit stricter on myself. But yeah, we'll just see where it is. It's about enjoying the process, right? We spend a lot of money going to these events. I think people think we're sponsored left, right, and center. It's hard getting to these places. And it's I've got to think myself. These training hours, they eat into our family lives, right? And they eat into our, not that I really want a social life or anything like that, but like even just having a rest day now, putting on Netflix for a little bit and just letting my mind recover as well and spending some time with little girl and that. And just like, I think we can get so obsessed with a sport and it's like, at what cost are we doing this?
Mhm.
Like, I think you have to sometimes, there's obviously the love of the sport and there's a love of staying fit and healthy, but HYROX could be a home wrecker. Do you know what I mean? I'm just saying, mate. HYROX, HYROX, it's like the Olympic Village in my eyes. Do you know what I mean? You need to be careful with this sport. It's not, but I love it. You know what I mean? But at what cost do we need to pull it back a little bit and just open our eyes? And you know, I think you can.
Yeah, yeah,
But then
yeah.
the obsession to be the best is you're going to get outdone by. But this is it's a hard one to be able to kind of string. But
Let's talk about some of the HYROX experiences that you've had so far. So well, let's go straight to the relay, which you said you don't want to do again. But obviously there was the incident with Hunter where basically like he shoved you into the railings and they ultimately got disqualified. What's your take on that whole matter?
yeah, look, people are probably bored of listening to it at this stage, but look, I like Hunter. And again, all I can say on that is I played sport for years and I loved it. I mean, he came straight up to me after that and he apologized and I shook his hand and you can see it in one of my videos. We're messing about. I was like, bro, like I love that, and I'd be the same, but I'd be making sure I was doing it on a bend where there wasn't a camera with thousands of people watching it on a live, bro. I can't defend you. I think people think like I cried. I went to like Hyrox and was like crying like a bitch and that. Like to me that was grand. Like I love a bit of atmosphere. I love a bit of camaraderie, but I couldn't help Hunter. In that respect, he done it in front of people. Hyrox went and reviewed it. I stayed on my feet. Do you know what I mean? I kept running. Mate, like, Hunter's a good guy. He tries to act about, he tries to be that kind of, that villain. Do you know what I mean? He's a bit cocky. Like, do you know what I mean? You've been to 10 a reef, he's been to 11 a reef. He's just that kind of guy. Do you know what I mean? But, like, ultimately, he's a great personality and what he's done for the sport is tremendous. So, it's a shame. I would have liked to see him after and had a chat with him because we were getting on fine. Where in the build up to that we were very pally. Um, but yeah, massive respect to him what he's done. But nothing like that bothered me. Everyone, yeah, I'll play with it. Me and James Kelly were having a laugh with it. But people need to understand. Look, I don't want to take food out of the USA's mouth, like especially Dylan Scott, who's my boy, right? But I can't do anything. I was called in for a meeting. I think Christian said to me, he's like, "What's your view?" And I go, "Bro, like, I don't care about this. I don't want to sit here like a baby." The only thing I'll say, and I was saying it from like an athlete and giving Hyrox some feedback, I was like, "Bro, you can't like hit the back line on a sled pull and get a penalty and then allow something like that." I was like, you need to, if you're going to do something, you need to set an example with the sport because like these penalties were getting ridiculous that we were seeing and they were costing people, thousands of quid. Like my heart, like all this nonsense about like the relay and stuff like that. It was like I just said your standards need to be better. Like the people that spend money, the people that qualified for the age group categories and the sled pull and the sled push, I was like, this isn't good enough. Do you know what I mean? So I was going in more with the kind of this has to be better from HYROX. But as far as Hunter and I, he's a G. Um, it was a handshake at the end, and to me, he's a top lad. Whatever banter is said after, we're not on talking terms now. But look, the only thing I had a bit of a chip on my shoulders. He made an apology and then deleted it. Do you know what I mean? I don't want an apology because nothing was done to me. Do you know what I mean? There was no damage, like, but at the same time, you can't, you have his fans in the comments saying Rubin's race and I stepped in front of him. Like we're going at a 3 minute. I think that pace was a fast that was a fast run into the ski. So I think we were running at like 3 minute Ks at that point. Like I was ahead of Hunter slightly, but we need to make a racing line. Okay, we can't just stand and run into walls. We have to move in that pack. I checked my shoulder. Everyone was like, I checked the block Hunter. I didn't want to block Hunter at all. I checked my shoulder to make a safe move in. I feel that was a legit move. I don't take people saying on his side rubbing his racing and allowing a shoulder into the sideboard, but then I'm not allowed to make a move and take the inside line to go around the bend. I think that was a fair move. Regardless, it's all handbags. Um, the main thing is we're two blokes at the end of the day and we're representing our countries. There's got to be emotion involved in that. But as a bloke, Hunter's a legend. And I saw Till's interview with you last week. Um, I don't think Hunter gives a shit about people's opinion. Opinions like ourselves, everybody has them. Hunter's counting his money. He's not interested in what these keyboard warriors are saying. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it should be left alone at that, and we'll go again. I'll get him on the next relay if I do decide to do another.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. All right. So that's the relay. But then like that incident did ultimately get USA disqualified.
Yeah.
Dylan was part of that team, and then you were racing with Dylan the following day. Did that affect that relationship at all?
No, it did. Look, Dylan's a stand-up guy, right? Dylan's a legend. Um, I just didn't understand how people couldn't see my stance on it. Look, I've had it throughout the years. I'm also, I'm getting the blame for something like Hunter done. Like that's in my eyes. I'm not trying to like do anyone out of money. At the end of the day, it's like it's HYROX's decision. I mean, I don't think people could see this at home. There's a camera, there's like a 40-inch camera on the back of a golf caddy filming the race. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like it's right in front of you. All I said was like, how am I getting this nonsense from people? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, it was HYROX's decision. It's like I didn't make the call. So yeah, I understand why Dylan was upset, but I think equally Dylan put out a video and gave his stance on the whole thing. It's crap that they lost the money, and I went up to Lauren Weeks in the dressing room and I apologized to her. I was like, look, I'm sorry this happened. Yeah, I did have fun with it. I posted a few memes and that because that's just the decision's done. It's not getting overturned. I'm gonna have a laugh with it. Um, we're Irish. It's our nation. Do you know what I mean? We came seventh. I'm gonna have a laugh about something. Do you know what I mean? Um, but at the same time, of course, I sympathise with them, and But look, I heard Hunter offered the money out of his own pocket. Another stand-up thing, right? Whether he done it or not, I don't know, but yeah, it was okay. Dylan was fine with the race. I mean, we had a shy race. We didn't race well, but we knew we were just going to turn up there to enjoy the moment and give it our best shot. And that's what we done. But
Why did the race not go to plan? Were you just
yeah,
like
so
not on it or what?
yeah, well, I was injured, wasn't I? So I was told that week. I put up a picture on my MRI. You don't want to be one of these whinge bags, and I didn't really want to say anything before in case I got taken out of the Irish team or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? Um, But yeah, I don't make excuses for my performance. I think people that know I'm a better racer than that. And it wasn't Dylan's fault. I think Dylan was a bit tired, but it was just me. I couldn't run. I think our runs were like, well, they were like probably 40 seconds to a minute off the others. Like, but I was getting penal. I think we got like a minute penalty on the lunges because I couldn't lunge properly. I couldn't stand up. And then the wall balls, they were doing me for death, left, right, and center again because I was just my mobility was gone, but never make excuses. Just weren't good enough. And probably if we were good enough on the day, we probably still wouldn't have won it or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But it was just a shame that I couldn't perform, and maybe I let Dylan down slightly. But that's racing for you. You know, we take it on the chin. But there was no way I was letting them races go. Right, that was a big spectacle in Chicago,
Yeah.
and Chicago was amazing. So I just had to get on with it. Up to my eyeballs and painkillers, but we got through it. We got through it in the end.
You mentioned like Elite 15 doubles is going to get some focus this season. Like, is that have you got partners in mind for that? Is that Dylan again, or is that someone else?
No, it's not. It's not Dylan. We haven't really spoke about that, but I just think the reason why Dylan and I raced was I was going to do Houston because it was the only qualifier I was able to reach because I had MDS. So I was going to miss Miami and I was going to miss Paris. And then I wanted to give myself another opportunity and not just rely on London. But we got it done in Houston. So I just thought, this is the way I work. I'm going to go for a United States competitor because I don't want, obviously, it cuts out one person having jet lag, right? Gives me a better opportunity. It's just, but yeah, Dylan is a fantastic athlete. You know, he's a great guy. He's a great dad. And, you know, it was a pleasure. There's no beef between Dylan and I. We're always going to be brothers. But yeah, I think so. I'm running in Dublin with Tony Ravel. Me and Kieran Parkinson had it was a bit of a tricky one. It's like we have this joke about it's like wife swap, right? And yeah, it's one of them. I think, you know, me and Tony are gonna have a shot at it, but again, it's like Kieran's a fantastic athlete in his own right, but we're just gonna experiment a little bit. So we'll see what happens. And then yeah, I'm running in Poznan with Alan Cow. He's
Okay.
French. So I think Alan's running with he's running with, is it
Thomas Fry.
Thomas Fry, yeah. As well. So we'll see what happens in Poznan. But yeah, I'm gonna be focusing on those races and we'll see kind of what way they go. But yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting this year. You're gonna have a lot more eyes on that
Yeah.
Elite 15 double. I think the doubles is a great watch.
Mm.
I think the Elite 15 doubles is a great watch. I don't know. Is there any talk of them doing like the mixed? They need to do a mixed Elite 15, don't they, Greg? That would be a show.
Yeah, they do. Funnily enough, I interviewed Mo this morning, and that episode will be out before this one,
Oh,
so I'll talk about it. But I think they've looked at it, but they want to come up with a solution. Like I don't think he wants to do it with the current weights, so like which is effectively
okay.
like pro weights for women, open weights for men, because effectively often the men end
Yeah,
up doing all of
yeah.
it, and so like they want to come up with some kind of solution for that problem first.
Okay.
Before it becomes like the elite. But I think yeah, eventually that's what they want as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, you know what? It's just it's a great spectacle the way HYROX have done it, you know. Yeah, you know, like it's an honor to, you know, walk out with your name on your jersey and stuff like that, especially for me, you know, coming from that. It was real. I think you need to, again, sometimes just take a step back from it. And I think Chicago for me was that, and it's exactly why I wanted to race in it and just be in it. Just forget about winning or just forget about competing or like podium or, you know, anything like that, and just be like, you need a little moment to be like, I've come from the madness and I'm surrounded. I had a look in that dressing room with people that have been doing fitness and whatever for years, and I'm just like, right, like, you know, give yourself just a day or two to just appreciate what you've done. I think it's hard for me to do that to myself. Do you know what I mean? Self praise is no praise, and I struggle to get praise off anyone else. Do you know what I mean? So, um, yeah, I'm very hard on myself. Do you know what I mean? But that was one day I was like, right, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, no, it was just beautiful. Sometimes you need to give I think anybody, even like, you know, these everyday athletes, they need to give themselves a pat on the back. They're balancing work. You know, I'm very blessed that I can go and train. It's the lads that show up with 3 kids with 9 to 5 that they're getting in. They're working in the morning. You know, they're on the track in the morning, going to work, and then banging out sessions in the evening. That's where the kudos is deserved. Like we, we probably should be doing a bit better. These lads are, you know what I'm saying, Greg? And like you see this from everyone in the industry, and these are the people. You know, if I wasn't where I was in Chicago, there'd be a problem. I need to be looking at myself. I need to take up paddle or something. You know what I mean? Because, it's the lads that are putting in the work, and they're the real lads that are doing well. So fair
Yeah.
play to them all. Top
Are
lads.
you didn't do much? I don't know. You did any actually like singles pro last
No,
year? Are
no,
you planning on that at all, or
yeah,
is it?
yeah. Well, I was going so what my idea behind that was, I was doing like a last chance qualifier this year for the singles.
Uh, are they? Is that was that a
Yeah.
question? No, they're not. So there's like the four majors, and there'll be like a regional. So there'll be like a
Okay.
European regional, but you need to qualify for that. So
Okay.
it's like an elite 15 race, but
Okay.
you have to be.
Is that top two times? So you need to do two.
Yes, yeah,
Right.
for
So
that.
yeah, the idea behind it was I was gonna obviously build, and like I said, for an athlete like me to succeed in a singles, I need to keep banging away at my aerobic system. Like I said, it's getting there. But I was gonna just like focus on the doubles and then bang out a last chance qualifier. Like, is it Chris Woolley
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Tom? Is
Oh,
it Tom
yeah,
Rogers?
yeah. Tom Rogers, yeah,
Yeah,
won the
like,
yeah.
and I think Hidda went quiet, didn't he? And then he just showed up at Barcelona and stuff. I was gonna do a little Hidda, because that's the way it is. You look at these people trying to get these times. Whereas my approach on something like that would be, if I was to race, is like put in the effort, taper properly, and then if you're not good enough to top three, you're not good enough to be in the elite 15. Do you get me? But you're not racing left, right, and centre, burning into your tapers, burning into your progress. It's all about having that trajectory, right? So I'll have a look at it, Greg. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, mate, they've changed so much this year. Do you know what I mean? About like, there's no qualifiers for the doubles. You need the top. I think it's like the top 15 will just race. But like me and Dylan were out, or Dylan and I were out of that anyway. So I sent a little message into the WhatsApp group being like, you need to reset those times. There's a new sled carpet. I was trying my best to get the leaderboard wiped so we can go again. But we'll see what happens. Do you know what I mean? I think again, if you're good enough, you'll be able to do it on whatever surface or whatever's out there. So exciting season, but I'll race more tactical.
Okay, okay. Um, if you weren't doing HYROX, what do you think you would be doing?
Jesus. Selling the big issues on Grafton Street, probably. Jeez, I don't know. I suppose when I was involved in the business here of Istanbul, I put a lot of my eggs into that basket, and I got my, you know, I was focused on making that company the best I could. So I'll always get my teeth into something that's positive now. So I'd probably be, still with the business, and trying to build that up as much as I could. I got some really big names over there, and they done some really big things for the company alongside with me. So probably that. Like I said about the coaching, I'd love to get. I had all my badges to coach little kids and that. Like, that's like, I'd done courses growing up, like, so I could coach football teams and that. You know what I mean? I probably would have went down that route. But yeah, coaching and helping others, like I said, it's like, to have that experience sometimes, like, is better than going to
Mhm.
college. If you can just help someone or talk to someone, sometimes feel like just lending an ear to somebody that's going through a really rough time. I think I relate to a lot of people suffering. um and if you can just change or alter someone's mindset on things, like just replace bad habits with good habits, and getting into a gym and surrounding yourself with good people and fit people, is a massive thing, because it clears your mind. Like, if you're stuck at home, you're like, I don't want to, like, no one feels worse after getting out of a gym. Do you know what I mean? The gym and going for a run and stuff like that will tell you so much that you need to know. It's just getting somebody to start it, just getting somebody to do it, and then yeah, you kind of find a blueprint of life if you kind of go through it the hard way. It's like reverse engineering in a way. But yeah, I suppose I'd be doing something within the business, and up to no good anyway, Greg.
Do you have a favorite sporting experience in your life?
Mate, it has to be the world. It has to be, like I said, that moment where I looked at my little girl looking at me come out, and yeah, it was good, mate. Because, like I said, I don't give myself any credit. And sometimes when people tell you you're a shy bag, you tend to believe it a lot of the time. So I can't change the past, and I'm very aware of my mistakes and stuff. I can only change the future and try and be better. Sometimes I regress, it's never been an easy ride. It's never cold turkey and straightforward, Greg. There's always obstacles. But that was a moment I looked at and I was like, saw her little face. And wearing the Irish, I wasn't lucky enough to do it in football, do you know what I mean? But I got to wear the Irish kit. And I got to run for my country and run with Dylan in the Elite 15. So that was a big moment for me. And just being surrounded by good people in that
Yeah,
dressing room. That was my favorite moment
yeah.
by far, yeah.
Love it. You'll definitely be back if they ask you next year. You'll be back in that
Yeah,
relay.
you can't say no to your country, I don't know, but yeah. Well, I'll have to wear some elbow guards and a gum shield if I'm racing against Hunter, right?
Is there anything you believe, like with your training, like training for HYROX, that you think some people would disagree, a lot of people would disagree with?
Yeah, wearing arm sleeves in a hot venue.
I'll definitely disagree with that.
Mate, do you know what, mate? Went into that Elite 15, right, final. I went in like leave the stress fracture alone. I went in goalkeeper gloves, right? Like a nutcase. I was roasting in that venue. But yeah, sometimes it's more show than substance with me, but I like to be a bit different, right? It's boring when I'm bleeding. So I see some lads running swimming togs. So now another thing that people probably I go a lot on HRV. I would train based on my HRV a lot. So some people say listen to your body. Sometimes I think the body can lie to you as well. Sometimes I've given my best track sessions when I've been tired and vice versa. So I go on data quite a bit. I train to my HRV. And that has helped me an awful lot as well. It's just that extra, it knows what's going on within the system. I find mine very accurate. Anyway, it's always spot on. So if I'm low, and I think some people just need to look at their program and just disregard it if it's a hard day, just
Hmm.
get on the bike, go slow, even to zone one, or go for a long walk, just go for just active recovery. And yeah, like some people say, oh, I don't know about that changing the program, but you need to adapt. But even listening to the body can be wrong as well. So I just find HRV as that little comfort blanket for me. Um, it seems to work, but some people are like, oh, do you know what I mean? They don't know, they don't really trust their watch sometimes or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But you can get like HRV straps you can wear that are very accurate, but it just gives you that bit of comfort. Like sometimes you can tell yourself after a session, like, am I tired? And that just gives you the reassurance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. And how about like the best piece of advice you've been given training for HYROX?
Has to be. It's the obvious one. Don't go out hot. Mate, it's all about first to the ski with me. Mate, my first high rocks, I was like like Linford Christie getting to the ski. I was gone. Um, but yeah, I think again, it's an endurance game. It's watch your heart rate. You need it's a very focus on heart rate training. For me, that's the key. If you can run faster in a lower heart rate zone, you're obviously going to be able to maintain the load that's coming up for you. If you spike too early, especially for someone like my size, you're going to find it very hard to come down from a red. You're tall yourself, Greg. So I think these heavy zone 5 sessions are great. They're a fast fix. Do you know what I mean? And they're great coming into an event and that. But you really want to be aerobically developed and just be, you nearly want to know what heart rate you are by closing your eyes and not looking at your watch and just being super sufficient in that zone. And, like a lot of people are doing now is like do sims at like, above race condition with a lower heart rate and just get really familiar at flushing that lactate. That's the advice I'd give is really work on your kind of race strategy and your heart rate.
Okay. Just going back to the gloves and the arm sleeves, was that literally that was style over substance? It's not like
No, bro. I'm trying like I just want to. I was wearing the sprinters outfits, like, do you know what I mean? So I was in the leotards and all. I think someone said to me, "Am I going to a gymnastics competition at one stage?" Do you know what I mean, bro? Fucking doing cartwheels in the warm up area. But I just tried to be a little bit. It's just always in my nature, just to try to peacock a little bit. Do you know what I mean? It's just like whatever. Some people laugh. I like when people laugh at it. Like Forders give me awful stick for it, but Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? It's just mixing it up a little bit. I don't think I'm at an exception or whatever. It's just to try and be different and see if I like it. But yeah, the gloves, I was bleeding roasting me. I launched them into the crowd after. I didn't even get to this. I think I took them off before the farmers, which is what I was wearing them for. I launched them into the crowd because I couldn't put them anywhere on my kit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? I have to wear them on my ears, but I couldn't stash them anywhere. You know what I mean? I could have, but no, yeah, definitely a bad shout. Again, that goes back to rookie mistakes. Like make sure you're like I was trained in them in the build up, but I wasn't trained in the leotards, bro. You know what I mean? I wasn't walking into gym group, you know, in the fucking there. You know what I mean? So no, I get I was getting some looks, but no, again, it's all fun and games. But
Yeah,
I think yeah, definitely watching your core temperature is very important as well, and heat management.
yeah.
So yeah, that would be definitely. I might have to leave the style alone for a little bit and focus on my performance, Greg.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been great to chat. When might we see you next? What's your next race likely to be?
Yes, so it's going to be Dublin, Greg. Or
Okay.
if we're doing the ultra, obviously that will be in the end of August.
Right.
So we'll just see how I am in that build up. Again, I don't like Welsh now. When I give my word, I like to try and do it. But yeah, so Dublin and Poznan, and then it will go off how them races go to then see what's down the line. But we'll bump into each other anyway.
Yeah, 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 for sure. All right, awesome. Well, thank you for this. If people want to follow you, find out more about you, where should they go? Is it Instagram the best
Yeah,
place?
just Instagram. Yeah, probably be the best shout. And if anyone ever needs to ask questions or if anyone's struggling, give me a shout. I'm always going to respond. And if anyone like, don't be a stranger, right?
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Legend, Greg. Thank you so much, bro.